Yes, discipline is very, very important. Um, to develop the voice, first of all, you have to learn the technique. And for you to learn the technique also, you have to practice it every day. Um, because that's the only way to learn it. It's a skill. Singing is a skill. And learning the technique also is very important to preserve the voice um, and to sing all those high notes.
Right, so you were telling me that you wouldn't be caught singing a popular song or something that is not of your genre because you said that it's a different discipline. It requires for
Yeah,
you
it's,
to just stick to what you already
the
have.
voice will get confused if you
Start
keep on
rapping all of
switching
a
to
sudden.
pop, then classical. It will get confused. And eventually you will just destroy the voice.
Wow, so imagine you have a voice for radio and you can't do anything else. You can't
Except just that. That actually takes a
accept
lot of,
just
because I
that.
sing in the shower. And, I wouldn't want anyone to, to stop me from doing so.
No, but it just that. You
Yeah,
stay
just that.
there.
I'm gonna stay here where I'm comfortable. No, but I had to ask you something. I just feel like being trained in classical music is not most of the kids of this generation. It's like I want to grow up to be a rapper. I want to grow up to be an EDM artist, or I want to be a like Britney or whatever, or like a pop star. Not that I wanted to be Britney when I was younger. I wanted to dance like her, but no. But I needed to ask. Like, I know that it must be you. I'm sure that you've had hurdles getting to where you are now, and it's just not. It's not usually the popular choice. I mean, was there ever a time where you were like, you know what, I'm thinking about like not pursuing classical music anymore, and then just going with a different direction? Maybe I'll be like Il Divo or something, which is like a little bit of pop still. So, did you ever get through that in your? I mean, did you ever go through that in your life?
Well, of course, there, there are lots of time that it's very, very difficult, especially in learning the technique. But then if you're determined to do it, you don't give up. You keep on trying and trying until you get it. I think it's just, you just have to be determined.
Do you feel that you've already achieved what you were hoping for? Are you already at that level where you can say, you know what, I'm successful. I've already achieved my dreams.
Yes, I think I have achieved what I want to achieve. Um, it's, I mean, I love what I do, and I get to perform a lot, and I can sing the songs I really want to sing. And it's not the financial side. It's not just financial. It's being also and being respected by your colleagues, and being, contented with what you have.
I feel like that in itself is already a tough choice because, if you talk to, I don't know, maybe most of the yuppies nowadays, a lot of them will sort of like give up their passion for a high-paying job. And it's always nice to know that, till now, I mean, you still see people who will really go for something that they're really passionate about, more than just something that, gives you a good paycheck.
Right. And now you're actually an educator and you're trying to teach the next generation and honing their craft and
Yes, I am.
perfecting that. How has that been for you? And do you also feel that now teaching the next generation has also helped you in feeling that you have arrived, that you are successful?
Yeah, actually, when I teach, I learn a lot. Like if I solve my students' problem, I'm also solving my own problem, vocally and technically. And also, it feels good that when you see your student improved and he gets what you're trying to teach, then it really feels good. And you see that a future singer is, is coming. And what I really wanted to do was that all my students will be a lot better than I am.
You know what? I've heard someone say that.
Was it
I've heard
Socrates
one
or-
amazing person say that, and that is his mantra. Make sure that the next generation is better than us. That's Mr. C. He says that all the time, and I think it's just, I guess, for wonderful and great people like you, you wouldn't be great if you didn't want, or if you didn't have that desire to want to improve the next generation or pull up and help others.
That's true. So speaking of which, if let's just say that I'm pretty sure there aren't any 7-year-olds here. Yeah, I'd be pretty freaked out. But let's just say that there are 7-year-olds here, or somebody who who was kind of in the same situation that you were in. They just heard something off of the radio. They loved classical music and they wanted to train as a tenor. What's something that you would tell them? Something that you would tell a person who is striving to be sort of where you are right now.
You should take lessons. I think I heard a lot of people saying that if I take lessons, my voice might change. I think if you go to a really good teacher, the teacher will help you preserve your the teacher will help you preserve your voice, and he will not change your voice at all, because that teacher will really help you achieve. I mean, improve what you have already. So, if you really want to, not only classical singing, I think, all kinds of music, if you want to study, I think you should go to a good teacher.
Thank you for sharing that. Discipline, hard work, knowing when to get help, and seeking the right kind of training and teacher and support. All of that put together is really what led to Randy's success. Now, let's talk about Celine
That's
Fabi. Right. Celine, first, why don't we share with them how you got started in singing and how you landed a spot in the Ryan Cayabyab Singers?
Okay. Okay, when I was a kid, actually, I was very, very shy. I was always being forced to join, but I've always been singing for as long as I could remember. But I refused to join singing contests. I refused to join to, sing in front of class, sing in front of family. But of course, I'm always being asked. But I was extremely shy. And then I started singing semi-professionally in college in Ateneo Glee Club. And our first gig was at Film Life, and we were just singing at the lobby, but I was so nervous that both my arms were so stiff that the next day at gymnastics PE class, I had to tell my teacher, I can't do the headstands because my arms are so sore, because I had a gig last night. But my teacher got it. She was like, oh, natense ka, natatension ka sa ano. Yeah, because I had horrible stage fright. So that was in college, and then I 3 years later, I guess, that's when I started auditioning for musicals. And then for the Ryan Cayabyab Singers, it was formed in 2007. And I got in through the first round, and I was so ecstatic. It was the first time I met Mr. C. I got through the first round. And then for the callbacks, we had to do scatting and choreo and group work. And I had no experience. I had no confidence, and I didn't get in. But after that, I got into a theater production, and I got into a couple of theater productions, and then Ryan Cayabyab Singers announced a new set of auditions, and I was like, okay, no, they were looking for trainees also, so I was like, okay, that's a bigger chance to get in. I just really want to train with Mr. C, and yeah, so when I did all of the auditions, there were numerous callbacks. In the end, I found that they were really looking for a replacement, and I got it.
So with that, I feel that you said that you were very shy when you were younger. Does that mean you're not shy anymore now?
I still am.
No, but there's a point to this question. No, I feel like when it comes to a lot of things, not just with the auditions or whatever, I think maybe the root of being shy is the fear of rejection. I'm sure that at one point you probably went to an audition and you're like, man, I don't wanna end up like botching this job or something like that. And when you apply that to everything else in life, I mean, you can get rejection from whatever field that you're in. I just wanted to ask you, what was that thing that just sort of made you, just forget the fear, forget the being shy, and I'm just gonna perform and just do whatever it is that I love. And because I feel that that would be something that a lot of people can benefit from.
Okay, well, the answer to that is really personal. W- of, yeah, of, in 2009, yeah, my dad passed away. And my parents are, my biggest fans. I have abnormally supportive parents. Really supportive parents. My mom is here right now. But my dad passed away, and he was always the one, um, wanting me to do what I love. Well, both my parents. And I think when he passed away, I was sort of like, I kind of lost my biggest fan, the one person who really knew that I could do it, and it's something that I was born to do. And so it was kind of like, okay, I think I'm ready to show everybody else that I can do it, because I lost that person. And so I guess that contributed to my confidence.
I'm sure another contribution to your confidence is having a grandmother who
Yeah.
was renowned. But more than inspiration, did that also add a lot of pressure to you? And did people automatically just open the doors for you? Or if it was more of a hurdle and you needed to prove yourself because you had the name and you had the grandmother?
There wasn't any pressure because I wasn't really interested in following her path in the beginning. Because I was so shy. And I remember they would take me, like, my mom, my grandmother, and I had to attend like this ice cream VTR. I was a young girl, and they just couldn't get me to do anything in front of the camera. I was just staring at it. I was so shy. So it was just later on in my life that it was, I guess that's what you call your calling. It was just that I was exposed to my grandmother's work, so it came naturally when the opportunities came along. But in terms of pressure, I never really felt anything like that.
With where you are right now in your life, do you already feel like, I've already made it? Like, do you feel that there's still a lot of room for improvement on a personal level? I mean, I'm sure that, you get people telling you all the time that you're amazing. And is it just, do you still deal with that? Do you still deal with the whole, I felt like I didn't give that everything that I have?
Yes, definitely, especially in theater, especially in performance, you're always a work in progress. You're always working harder, and every show, every performance is a new opportunity and a new chance to prove yourself and a new chance to do something different every time. That's what our director in Spoilerium always tells us, that every show is different. Every theater show is different. That's what's amazing about doing theater is you can never expect what more you can do. So definitely, we're always a work in progress.
Right. I wanted you to now start wearing a different hat. Apart from a performer, singer, of course, we talked about how you're also a writer, but also you have this passion for the environment, and you have this project that is not just a book or a movement, now it's also an online project. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, Saving Juan Pawikan. It started with aside from I wanted to do a new book, yes, my absolute love for animals, the environment, and the Philippine Islands and the oceans. All of that came together, and how do I explain this? Okay, so it started with a book, a children's book, which is still in printing right now, but I'm about to come out with it. It's called The Legend of Juan Pawikan and the 7,107 Islands, and it's about a sea turtle named Juan Pawikan who lives in the Philippines. So I want him to represent a new Filipino identity, because I think for the longest time we have been very confused about who we are as a nation, because if we always use the excuse that we were colonized by so many different countries, and I just yeah, my love for, I love the Philippines because of the islands, because of our beaches. I love the water. All my friends know that I love the beach. Miss Pat knows that. So it started from that, and yeah, I chose a sea turtle because like the Filipinos, they're very gentle. They live their life very simply, really. If they just love to eat grass and sea cucumbers, and when they're born, they immediately leave their home to travel around the world, and when they're ready to reproduce, they go back to the island where they were born. So I wanted to associate that with Filipinos and how we always wanna have an adventure, we always wanna explore, we always wanna leave and conquer different places. But in the end, we always come back.
So since you wrote the book already, can we expect a musical out of it soon?
Maybe.
Juan Pawigan and the 7,100 Islands. The musical.
Children's theater.
All right, so thank you very much, Celine.
Thank you.
Now, let's move to Jimmy Alapag. I like what MVP actually said earlier. Talent doesn't necessarily put you in a leadership role. Fortunately for you, you had both the talent and you were put in that leadership role. But it wasn't natural, right? You didn't just get drafted and say, hey, we just drafted a leader.
Absolutely not. I think a lot of the credit has to go to my family, especially my parents. You know, growing up in the States, but having two parents who born and raised here, married here, worked here, finished school here. My dad passed the CPA board exam here. And growing up in the States and seeing his work ethic and seeing how he raised our family, you know, I'm the youngest of six, really set the foundation for how our entire family was raised, but really how I, you know, lived my life and chased my dream to play basketball.
Did you ask to be a leader? Were you picked, tasked? Did they notice something about you? How do you become a leader in a team?
I think being a leader has to come from within. I think it's hard to designate someone to just lead. I think there has to be something built inside of you to do that role, because not only Randy and I were speaking in the back, be it in music or sports or business, you know, there's really no substitute for a great work ethic. And not only applying that work ethic to your chosen field, but at the same time being that example in the office, on the basketball court, or you know, in the studio. It's so important to not only, you know, work hard and do the best you can, but at the same time really be that example to everybody else to set the standard that everyone else can follow.
You know, with being a leader, I feel like it's a lot of people will hesitate to be part of, you know, just be a leader, because it's a double-edged sword. You know, when a great thing happens, then, you know, everyone's on your side. But the minute something bad happens, you know, everyone's on your case. So I just wanted to find out for you, how exactly do you deal with that kind of pressure?
For me, I've always gained confidence from the work that I've put in. Again, growing up, you know, I was in first year high school. I was 4'9", maybe 90 pounds, playing varsity basketball in the States. And everyone knows that is not the ideal height for any athlete, particularly a basketball player. So I've always gained confidence from the work that I put in. Being in the gym, being on the track running sprints, being in the weight room, lifting weights, I personally gained confidence from that, so that when the time would come that I would be in that moment, I would lean on the work that I put in to get rid of any nervousness or any doubt that is natural to have in that instance. But again, when you lean on the time and the effort and the work that you put in, all of that goes to the wayside, and you go out there and you perform and get the job done.
Has it been a difficult transition now, being the court leader to being a team manager? And how were you able to cope with all the challenges?
again, basketball's been such a huge part of my life for so long, and now that I'm not playing anymore, it's something that I've acknowledged that the fire and the passion to compete will never go away. I'll be 50, 60, 70, my kids, my son and my daughter will be grown up, and I'll still have that urge to want to go out there and shoot the basketball and make the big shot or make the big play. But you know, I feel like now with my new job and my new position, it allows me to have an impact on not just basketball here in our country, but hopefully Philippine sports, and really have a positive impact just in a different capacity.
If I may, how are you using that? I mean, the name of Jimmy Alapag, the influence of Jimmy Alapag, and everything that you've done to spread your network and set yourself up. How are you using that now to help on a grander scale, beyond just talk and text, beyond just being a basketball player? And you talked about helping the country. How are you applying all of that now?
I think for one, I hopefully can inspire and encourage all of the young athletes, not just basketball players, to use, the success that I've been fortunate enough to have, throughout the years as a guide to know that they can achieve not just the same, but hopefully more. As of now, we're putting together the FIBA World Cup bid, hopefully in 2019, and Boss MVP has asked me to be involved in the process, and more so just, again, for Philippine basketball, it's really something that really can unite our entire country, because, again, we all know how much we love the game of basketball and how much it means to us. I think the love and the passion that we have for the sport runs deep within all of us. It's almost like you're not Filipino if you don't have the love of basketball inside you. And to have the opportunity to be a part of the campaign to host the World Cup here in our country in 2019, it's down to us in China, and it's, I believe, an incredible opportunity for our country, because, again, not just to have the best basketball players here in the Philippines, but more importantly, to really expose our culture and the beauty of our country to the rest of the world, so that they can see the beaches, and they can see how flourishing we are as a nation, and hopefully that'll work out, and we'll have the World Cup here in 2019.
Thank you, Jimmy. How about a big round of applause for that? That is a gallant effort of course, led by Chairman Manuel V. Pangilinan for us to be hosting the World Cup in 2019. I hope that, I know that you and the morning crew and your people, your folks there at the radio station,
yes,
you guys make a lot of things trend every morning. I hope you guys will help us come this August, and we could just continue to talk about it, right? And that's actually an invitation for everyone to support our bid for the World Cup come 2019. But counting on you too, right?
All right. Although I'm not so sure about being a credible athlete, if you know what I mean.
Oh, you don't have to be. You just have to be a Filipino and understand that the Philippines can host this FIBA World Cup, because this is where basketball is home.
That's true. That is very true. All right, so let's go to Regina now. Hi, Regina.
Hi.
Regina.
Just being called extraordinary and rare, I'm pretty sure that is so hard to live up to consistently. Like, if I'm not mistaken, you were called this at a very young age. Is that something that's do you see that as a blessing? Or, I mean, does it make you, of course, I'm sure that there's a certain part of it that makes you feel great, but like at the same time, does it sort of like scare you also?
It is definitely a blessing and a curse. But, well, I think it's more a blessing. I'm very, very happy to be musical, because there are a lot of musicians, I think, they might develop their technique to the highest possible level, but then they don't really have anything to say, or people don't really get moved, and that's just very ironic. But, yeah, it's a blessing.
You told me earlier that right now, more than just sharing your talent in music on a scale where you just perform to people, you're also taking your talent and using it to improve others and to teach others, even if it's just your friends, because you feel that you have this talent to share and you want to be able to lead well amongst your peers using the talent, of course, that you're given. Is this something important to you? Is this something that you're applying? I guess what I'm getting at is this relevant as a leader for you to be able to use your musical talent?
I think, yeah, music has a lot of relevance to thought leadership because just the process of learning a piece instills in you different qualities. Like you have to have, as everybody here on my side was saying, you have to have commitment, you have to have a lot of discipline, and you have to develop courage to stand up in front of everybody and trust yourself. But yeah, and then there's a lot of studies coming out right now. If you just Google, the benefits of music education, you can see how it helps anybody regardless of your talent. Yeah.
For you, I mean, what are just some of the most common challenges that you have to deal with in your chosen field?
There's the challenge of just getting up each day and working very methodically through your piece. There's the challenge of just, like I said, pulling up the courage within you to step out on stage, to decide I want to, on this day, I'm going to perform this and this and this piece. It takes a lot of courage, but I think in the end, your desire to share outweighs the scare factor. So, yeah.
Okay, give us an idea. A day in your life, how many hours do you actually dedicate to perfect your craft?
I knew somebody would ask me how many hours I practice. But first of all, I think on the question of how many hours one has to practice each day, I think you need to find the right balance between quality of practicing and quantity of practicing. So when I was younger, I used to do about 6 hours a day, but I have to admit a lot of it, I practiced as hard as I could, but I don't think it was as efficient as the way I practice now. So nowadays, it really depends how many pieces I need to perform, but I practice around 4 or 5 daily, excluding Sundays. And they're really very focused. Sorry.
That is a lot of time in one day.
I'm an advocate for smart work rather than, smart and hard work. But as I said, you have to find that.
What is the
optimal-
saying? Perfect practice makes perfect?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's good. We're really learning a lot from our panelists here. Of course, we're going to be having more of our other panelists to be joining us here on stage. But you know what,
Yes.
Gino?
Yes.
Gino, I know you wanted to ask her something.
Yeah, you know how us Filipinos, we have this thing that whenever we find out that, if anyone is talented in something, the first thing that you do is you ask them for a demonstration of it.
Pakita mo nga, o sige nga.
Oh, di ba? Parang, it's so weird eh. Sometimes people will ask me parang, oh, Gino, di ba DJ ka? Parang, oh, bakit? Ano naman? Oh, mag-ano ka naman? Demo ka naman? So parang, this is me talking. This is pretty much it. That's all the talent there is to it. But at least this time around, it's actually something that we can, we would love to hear. Love to hear.
That's right. Since we're talking about Regina's achievements right here, and of course, we talked about how she studied at the Conservatory of Music. She must be a true virtuoso. She definitely is a true virtuoso in music.
Indeed. Now, if she spends 4 to 5 hours in her day practicing anyway, what's a couple of minutes?
That's right.
What's
Would you
a
like to
couple of
hear her
minutes?
play the violin? Absolutely. Is
I
that
think-
okay, Regina?
It's better than asking me to sing.
Okay, well, better than asking you to sing. So you can go back to your element now. But ladies and gentlemen, it is our privilege, Gino.
That's right. Accompanied by world-class concert pianist who performed for the Asia-Pacific run of Phantom of the Opera, Miss Marianne Espina. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear our concert violinist, Regina Buenaventura.
Ladies and gentlemen, with Miss Mary Ann Espina, concert violinist Regina Buenaventura.
What an absolute joy to hear them play. Thank you very much. Now, at this point, we would like to acknowledge our sponsors without whom this event would not have been possible. Thank you very much to Metro Pacific Tollways. Of course, to Meralco as well. First Pacific Company Limited. Maynilad. And PLDT Home. I swear, at one point when she was playing, I was like, now she's just showing off.
I was totally showing off.
Yeah.
She was totally showing off. And these guys are captivated, of course. And Jimmy's just trying to learn a little bit of the shimmy. Maybe he can apply that a little bit on the next game if he plays a pickup game. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. We now move on, Gino.
That's right. So now we turn on to our second group of guests. And the next guest was actually a neighbor of Jorge Mario Bergoglio, who is, of course, His Holiness Pope Francis now. Now, when Pope Francis visited us last January, Father Filoni actually gave us his first-hand knowledge of the Supreme Pontiff's life, wisdom, and humanity. Now, all because he knew the man from the very start. Apart from his knowledge of the Pope, he himself is actually a missionary, leaving his comforts behind to stay with the people of Caloocan. In fact, he is actually already applying to become a Filipino citizen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome Reverend Father Luciano Filoni. Kamusta po kayo, Father?
Mabuti naman po kayo.
Okay naman.
I swear.
Salamat po sa pagdalo nyo dito sa ating event.
Walang anuman, salamat sa paanyaya.
Mas malalim pa yung Tagalog niya sa akin. Wow.
Nagulat ka ba?
Nagulat actually earlier on when we were all here. I got to hear Father Filoni speaking in Tagalog, and I was really shocked that he had such a great command of the language already?
Because he's been living here for 21 years already, half of his life, at natutuwa kami talaga, Father, na merong isang katulad niyo na nagbibigay talaga ng kanyang taus-pusong pagtulong sa mga Pilipino.
Well, ako lagi nagsasabi na ako ang pinagpala dito. Kasi isang malaking regalo ng Diyos sa akin ang pagpunta sa Pilipinas. Hindi, seriously, bihira may ganitong regalo ang tao na ipinanganak ka sa isang bansa, ba't pipiliin mo kung saan ka mamatay? And so, I was born Argentinian, but I chose to die Filipino. And sa akin, hindi yung isang sakripisyo, isang regalo ng Diyos. Kasi walang duda, ito ang pinakamagandang bansa. Lalo higit, pinakamagandang lahi sa buong mundo.
Nakakabilib. Nakakabilib.
Sige, thank you so much. It truly is an honor, Father, that you are here with us today. Now, Gino, let's move on to our next guest. I know who should sit near the Reverend Father.
And then the collective laughs of everyone in the audience.
Tutuloy ba na? Pasensya na po. Nagbabasa lang po ako. The great Sigmund Freud would love our next guest, a psychologist, author, educator.
Now, she specializes in sex therapy and marriage counseling, igniting new passions for couples. Probably she will be a lot of people's